You see the golden arches, you see the drive-thru line, 30 cars deep, every single morning, every single afternoon, every single night. And you think to yourself, this place never closes, this place never empties, the money never stops coming in. What if I owned one of these? Welcome to Warren's portfolio, because that thought, that exact thought, has cost thousands of Americans everything and made a few hundred of them genuinely wealthy. The difference between those two groups is not luck, it is not connections, it is not even capital, it is understanding. And today, I am going to give you that understanding, every single layer of it. Let me start with a number. The fast food industry in America generates over $350 billion in revenue every single year. $350 billion from burgers, from fries, from dollar menus and combo meals. It is one of the largest industries in the United States, and yet the average fast food franchisee, the person who actually owns and operates one of those locations, earns between $50,000 and $150,000 per year on an investment that often exceeds $1 million, sometimes $2 million, sometimes more. That math deserves a closer look, and here's the hook I need you to hold. The fast food franchise is not a food business. It is not a real estate business. It is not even a labor business. It is a royalty extraction business, where the person paying the royalty is you. And we'll come back to that. Stay until the end, because the last thing I reveal today is the one metric that separates franchisees who build multi-unit empires from the ones who sell their single location in year 3 and never look back.
Let us start with what it actually costs. Not what the franchise brochure says, what it actually costs. To own a McDonald's franchise, you need a minimum of $500,000 in liquid capital, not total net worth. Liquid, cash you can access immediately. Then the initial franchise fee. McDonald's charges $45,000 just to enter the agreement. That is before you touch a fryer, before you hire a single employee, before you sell a single Big Mac. Then comes the real cost, building or acquiring a restaurant location. A new McDonald's location costs between $1 million and $2.3 million to build from scratch. Equipment alone runs $300,000 to $500,000. Signage, technology, training, another $100,000 to $200,000. Total initial investment for a single McDonald's franchise between $1.4 million and $2.9 million. And McDonald's is not the most expensive. A Chick-fil-A franchise costs only $10,000 to enter. But here's the catch. Chick-fil-A owns the real estate and the building. The franchisee operates it. And Chick-fil-A takes 50% of gross sales. 50% straight off the top. Before you pay a single employee, before you pay for a single chicken sandwich, before you pay your electricity bill. A Subway franchise costs between $150,000 and $350,000. A Domino's costs between $125,000 and $550,000. A Taco Bell costs between $575,000 and $3 million. A Burger King costs between $332,000 and $3.3 million. Every brand has a different number, but they all share one thing. The money flows up. Always. And here's the capital structure almost nobody talks about. Most franchisees do not pay for this with cash. They use debt. Small business administration loans, commercial real estate financing, personal guarantees on business loans. A first-time franchisee often enters the system with $700,000 in personal debt on day one, before the doors open, before the first customer walks in. This debt structure is the silent killer of franchise dreams, because the interest payments start immediately. The revenue does not.
Now let us talk about the economics, the real numbers, the ones the franchise disclosure document buries in footnotes. The average McDonald's location generates approximately $3.8 million in annual sales. That sounds incredible. $3.8 million from one restaurant. But watch what happens to it. The first thing that leaves is the royalty fee. McDonald's charges franchisees a royalty of approximately 4% of gross sales. On $3.8 million in sales, that is $152,000. Gone. Every year, regardless of whether you made money.
Next is the rent. McDonald's owns most of the real estate and leases it back to the franchisee. That rent averages approximately 10 to 12% of sales. On $3.8 million, that is another $380,000 to $456,000 per year. Gone, just in rent, to the same company that charged you the royalty. Then there is food cost. Industry standard food cost for fast food is 28 to 32% of sales. On $3.8 million, that is $1,064,000 to $1,216,000 in food and paper costs annually. Then labor. This is where it gets painful. Fast food labor cost is approximately 25 to 32% of sales. On $3.8 million, that is $950,000 to $1,216,000 in wages, benefits, and payroll taxes per year. Then utilities. A single fast food location uses an extraordinary amount of electricity and gas. Annual utility costs run approximately $80,000 to $150,000. Then maintenance and repairs. Commercial kitchen equipment breaks constantly. Annual repair budget for a well-run fast food location is $40,000 to $80,000. Then marketing fees. McDonald's charges franchisees an additional 4% of gross sales for the National Marketing Fund, another $152,000, gone. Then insurance, $30,000 to $60,000 per year. Then local advertising requirements. Most franchise agreements require franchisees to spend 2 to 4% of sales on local marketing, another $76,000 to $152,000. Add it all up, royalty $152,000, rent $418,000, food cost $1,140,000, labor $1,083,000, utilities $115,000, maintenance $60,000, marketing $304,000, insurance $45,000, total expenses approximately $3,317,000 on $3.8 million in sales. Net profit before debt service approximately $483,000. That sounds decent until you subtract debt service, a $2 million SBA loan at 7% interest over 10 years, monthly payment of approximately $23,261, annual debt service of approximately $279,000. Net profit after debt service approximately $204,000 from $3.8 million in revenue, a 5.4% net margin on a $2 million investment. That is a cash-on-cash return of approximately 10.2%, which sounds reasonable until you account for the fact that you are working 60 to 80 hours per week to earn it, until you account for the 10 to 15% of franchisees who do not hit $3.8 million, until you account for the years where a minimum wage increase drops your labor from 28% to 34% of sales, and your $204,000 becomes $28,000. This is why over 30% of fast food franchises failed within the first 5 years. Not because the brand failed, because the unit economics at the individual location level are razor thin, and any disruption, labor, supply chain, competition, economic downturn, turns thin margins into losses.
So why does anyone do this? Because the unit economics I just described are the unit economics of a single location, and the franchise model was never designed to make money at one location. It was designed to make money at 5, at 10, at 20. Here is where the math completely changes. The largest cost in any franchise operation is not food, it is not rent, it is management. Specifically, the cost of your own time. When you own 1 McDonald's, you are the manager. When you own 5 McDonald's, you hire a manager for each one, and the economics of that shift are profound. On a single location generating $204,000 in net profit, you are the day-to-day operator. Your effective hourly rate as a small business owner is approximately $51 per hour working 80-hour weeks, less than many of your employees. When you add a second location, revenue doubles to $7.6 million. You hire a general manager for each location at $55,000 to $65,000. But the overhead does not double. Your insurance does not double. Your accounting does not double. Your legal and administrative costs do not double.
2 locations generating a combined $408,000 before management costs, minus 2 general managers at $60,000 each, net profit $288,000 from 2 locations. Now the owner is earning more and working less than at a single location. At 5 locations, revenue $19 million. You hire an area manager to oversee all 5 general managers. Area manager salary $85,000 to $120,000. 5 locations before management, approximately $1,020,000 in net profit, minus 5 general managers at $60,000 each, $300,000, minus 1 area manager, $100,000. Net profit to owner, approximately $620,000. At 10 locations, revenue $38 million. You hire 2 area managers and a director of operations. Net profit to owner, approximately $1.4 million per year. This is why the wealthiest franchise operators in America are not single-location owners. They are multi-unit operators. The top 10% of McDonald's franchisees own an average of 6 to 10 locations each. The top 1% own 20 or more. One McDonald's franchisee, Carlos Mateos, owned 54 McDonald's locations at the peak of his career, generating estimated annual revenue of over $200 million from one franchise brand, from the same royalty structure that crushes single-location operators. The difference was scale. And this is the lesson the franchise disclosure document will never teach you. The franchise system was built to reward scale, not to reward individual operators. Every single franchise agreement is written to make one location economically marginal and to make the franchisee want more locations, because the franchisor gets 4% of every one of those locations, without owning any of the labor risk, without owning any of the supply chain risk, without working a single day in any of them. This is the business model. You are not buying a restaurant. You are buying a slot in a risk distribution system, where your risk is maximum and the franchisor's risk is near zero. But if you play the game correctly, the scale math works overwhelmingly in your favor.
Now let us talk about what can destroy a franchise even when you are doing everything right. Risk 1. Minimum wage legislation. The fast food industry operates on a 25% labor cost model. When California raised its minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 per hour in April 2024, operators who were running on a 28% labor cost suddenly found themselves at 34 to 36% labor cost on $3.8 million in sales. That is an additional $228,000 to $304,000 in annual labor costs, turning a $204,000 net profit into a $0 to $100,000 loss overnight. Several prominent California franchisees immediately began closing locations. Hundreds of fast food jobs were eliminated across the state. Risk 2. Franchisor relationship deterioration. McDonald's sued its own franchisees in 2020 over technology upgrade requirements. Franchisees were required to install new digital ordering kiosks at their own expense. Cost per location, $300,000 to $500,000 on top of existing debt loads. Some franchisees had no choice but to sell. Subway forced location closures on franchisees who did not meet new store standards. Thousands of Subway franchisees have sold or closed locations since 2016. This is the fundamental tension in the franchise model. You signed an agreement giving the franchisor enormous power over your business. They can change the menu and require new equipment. They can change the decor and require expensive remodels. They can change the royalty structure in ways that hurt your economics, and your only option is to comply or sell. Risk 3. Supply chain concentration. Most fast food franchisees are required to purchase all food and supplies from approved suppliers. The franchisor often has financial relationships with those suppliers. The cost of that food is not negotiated by you. When commodity prices spike, as they did in 2021 and 2022, your food cost goes from 30% of sales to 34 to 36% of sales. You cannot switch suppliers. You cannot renegotiate. You absorb the hit. McDonald's food suppliers are locked in by franchise agreement. Burger King franchisees purchase from approved suppliers. The franchisee has no pricing power, None. Risk 4. Brand damage from other franchisees. In 2020, a single McDonald's location had a viral food safety incident. The resulting media coverage caused sales declines at thousands of unrelated McDonald's. You did nothing wrong. Your location was perfect, but your revenue dropped because someone on the other side of the country made a mistake. This is the brand risk of franchise ownership. You are permanently linked to the performance of every other franchisee, good or bad. Risk 5. Lease and real estate risk. McDonald's owns the real estate of most of its U.S. franchise locations and leases it to franchisees. The franchisee has no equity in the property. After 20 years of operating a location, after paying $7.6 million in cumulative rent, you own nothing. The land and building belong to McDonald's. When your franchise agreement expires, McDonald's can simply not renew it and give the location to another operator. The accumulated goodwill you built, the loyal customer base you developed, the community relations you created, all of it transfers with the location to the next franchisee. Operating levers that winners use. The franchisees who survive and thrive do 4 things consistently. They maintain a cash reserve of at least 6 months of operating expenses before opening. They hire experienced managers immediately, never trying to be the operator themselves beyond the first year. They target multi-unit agreements from day one, negotiating the right to open additional locations before signing. And they track one metric above all others daily. We'll get to that metric in Part 7.
Let us talk about how franchisees actually get wealthy. Because the operating income is the foundation, the exit is the wealth event. When a McDonald's franchisee sells their portfolio of locations, the business is valued at a multiple of EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Fast food franchise portfolios typically sell at 3x to 5x EBITDA. A franchisee operating 5 locations with $620,000 in annual EBITDA can sell that portfolio for $1.86 million to $3.1 million on an original investment of approximately $5 million spread over those 5 locations. That sounds like a loss, unless you account for the cash flow received during the operating years. 5 locations running for 10 years at $620,000 per year, that is $6.2 million in cumulative cash flow, plus a $2 to $3 million exit. Total value created, $8.2 million to $9.2 million on a $5 million investment over 10 years. That is a solid return. Not spectacular, but solid. The real wealth creation happens at 10 to 20 locations. A franchisee operating 15 locations with $1.8 million in annual EBITDA sells at 4x EBITDA for $7.2 million, with 10 years of cumulative cash flow of $18 million. Total value created, $25.2 million on an original investment of approximately $12 million. This is how franchise dynasties are built, slowly, location by location, year by year, with every additional location adding disproportionately more profit than the one before. The scalability reality. Not everyone can scale. McDonald's limits the number of locations a single franchisee can own. They want operator owners who are personally engaged, not passive investors. Chick-fil-A limits franchisees to a single location specifically to maintain operator engagement. This is a fundamental constraint on the franchise model. The franchisor controls your ability to grow, and the franchisor can say no. The franchisees who get multi-unit agreements are the ones who demonstrate excellence at the single location first. Operational scores above system average, customer satisfaction scores above system average, clean audits and compliance records, financial health showing they can support additional debt. The franchise system is a performance ladder. You earn the right to climb by performing exceptionally at every step.
Here is the verdict. Is owning a fast food franchise a good investment? The honest answer is it depends on which question you are asking. If the question is, can I buy one McDonald's and retire comfortably? No.
The economics of a single location, after debt service, after your own management involvement, are not compelling enough to justify the capital and the risk. If the question is, can I build a multi-unit franchise portfolio into generational wealth? Yes, absolutely yes. The franchisees who build genuine wealth treat the single location as a training ground, not a destination. They enter with a multi-unit plan already written, they execute perfectly at location 1, they earn the rights to locations 2, 3, 4, 5, and they let the compounding economics of scale do the rest. Here is the metric I promised you, the one number that separates winners from losers in the franchise world. It is called sales to investment ratio. Divide your annual sales by your total invested capital. A McDonald's generating $3.8 million in sales on a $2 million investment has a 1.9x sales to investment ratio. Industry experts say anything above 1.5x is a viable location. Below 1.2x, exit immediately. The location will never recover. This single ratio, calculated before you sign a lease, before you sign a franchise agreement, before you invest a single dollar, tells you whether the economics of that specific location, in that specific market, at that specific time, can ever support your financial goals. The franchisees who win know this number before they sign. The franchisees who lose learn it after. Warren did not buy a fast food franchise, but Warren studied every business that operates like one, where the royalties are extracted, where scale is the only path to real returns, where the individual operator takes all the risk and earns a middle-class income, while the franchisor earns a billionaire income from the same transaction. If you want to see the next business Warren studied, the one where the royalty structure is even more extreme and the few who understand the game get even wealthier, that breakdown is in the next video. Subscribe now because understanding how royalty extraction works is the most valuable financial education you will never get anywhere else. This is not personal finance, this is financial warfare, and the franchise system you understand today is the one you will never be exploited by tomorrow.